Okay, just trying to get everything set up real quick. Looks like everything should be in order more or less. I have no idea if anyone is actually going to be interested in watching. That's fine. I'm just gonna play around for a bit today. I think everything is working anyway. I don't know how the volume balance is, but hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's good. I'll just turn the desktop audio down a little more. Okay, that ought to be good, hopefully. I have no dropped frames, that's good. Alright, so to begin with, the week before last, I had a vague idea for a thing, and I've made a bit more progress on it. More specifically, I actually got the scripting to where it works. So, the idea I had was to take the... Hi, millions of updates. There we go. So I had the idea of taking the basic principles behind the water barrels and the oil barrels and converting that idea into tar, gel, and mud barrels and maybe other kinds of barrels which would release various objects or entities when destroyed. And if you look here, you can see I've actually got that working 100%. So there's a lot of insane scripting on the back end of this to make it function. I completely refactored the water and oil barrel script to something a little bit better designed. Among other things, there was a problem with that script where I was trying to multiply together a bunch of prime numbers, and that was going to be very, very limiting on the number of barrels that I could use. I changed that to essentially a binary counter that adds together powers of 2 instead. So now I'm able to have up to 12 barrels, and each barrel declares to the handler entity what kind of barrel it is. That's a little bit bad, but I can't do anything about that. It has to happen the next turn. There's still some things, like I'm not too sure about these graphics. They're kind of placeholder graphics. I started out by just taking a colorless keg graphic that I had and just trying to put a droplet shape similar to the oil barrel in the colors of red, blue, and green, but that didn't show up for especially red, so I tried darkening the barrel graphic a bit. Anyway, this is all technical nonsense that's not all that interesting. What is interesting is I got a lot of things working. So as you can see, there's some interesting interactions going on here. And I built a few rooms, some basic tutorial rooms. I'm gonna turn the music down a little more. There we go. I feel like I'm yelling over it, even though possibly it's not as loud to you as it is to me. I still don't know if anyone's going to be watching, but whatever. Alright, so now we have a few basic tutorial constructions. In this room, you just need to use a couple of tar barrels to make this tar blob cuttable. In this room, we see what happens if you put a barrel onto a hot tile, and what specifically happens is it tries to build a mud or gel or whatever, and instead releases a baby. This room's all about releasing a gel baby, using that mechanism. And then using it to open the way to this to kill something. All very simple tutorial stuff. And then this room is about making a tar blob from scratch. Using some explosives. So my very first incarnation of the tar mud gel barrel graphics used a keg graphic that was left over from when I made the oil and water barrels that was the same color as these powder kegs, and blue and red didn't show up too well on that. So in this room you need to toggle some tar doors twice, and the way to do it is just like I did. This part's not actually all that hard, I'm just messing around. Anyway, so that's to make the point that you can make things from scratch. I had an idea to try and build another room. And there's something that I've been thinking about with this element. As it currently exists, it actually ignores tar stuff switching tokens. So if I put, let's see, I'll put in a template for 4 of them. So I need this guy, the handler, and then I'm going to need 4 barrels. So as it stands here, you can see 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8. That means that the first 4 barrels are alive. Anyway, these are not in order. Alright, now they are. So I'm not sure exactly how many I'll use, but if I were to, say, place some tar and put in a tar mud switching token, that does not change what kind of barrel these are, so these will still these will still output these will still output tar if I explode them. What the heck? Alright, maybe we're back on. I just suddenly had the KB per S drop to 0 for a moment. Didn't do anything important during that time, I don't think. I have to bring up all of my windows again every single time. Alright. So if I were to do that, then that's still tar, or that's still mud. But if I do this, and now they're both mud. So I'm thinking, that seems like a really interesting behavior. It's also monumentally difficult to reprogram this, or it would be, I think, very difficult to reprogram this to require to allow them to swap with the tar tokens. And anyway, everything else normally already tar does that, so I think it will be more interesting if this doesn't swap things. So I'm trying to think what's the best way to let the player know That's how things work. Let's say I put a tar gel token here. And I'll put the first two there. I'm just going to put in a construction that requires the player to do things a certain way. Alright, I think that should work. Except it's not survivable. Let's try pushing it east a couple tiles. So after demonstrating this to the player, I would of course like to make some sort of puzzle with the behavior. Maybe put something like this. Now it's fairly easy to reconfigure what kind of barrel a given barrel is. I'm going to leave these as tar. It's essentially a find replace for the most part, unless you want to make something a water barrel or not a water barrel because of some coding. If you try to find replace with that, it'll cause some issues. But I'm not bothering with water barrels right now anyway. Let's see. I guess another tar gel is fine. Maybe put it here. So what I think I would like to do is plop down a couple of constructions that aren't destructible as tar or as gel. Different ones, preferably. So let me just try these. Okay, as it stands, that's destructible as tar, but not as gel. So I want to change it so it's not destructible as either one. Yeah, I think that'll work. And then this one, it's not destructible as gel, and you can't reach the cuttable part as tar. So that's about right. Let me just double check. If I cut this first, Oh, this one's actually cuttable if you switch it from tar to gel and back again. So I don't want that. If I just put an Ormite right here, then you are not able to cut it there as gel. So your only option is to cut it there as tar, and then you can't do anything, or you can cut it there as gel, and that ruins everything too. With this one, it doesn't matter whether it's gel or tar, you can't cut it properly at all. Right, so now is it possible to fix these so that they become cuttable with the addition of just one block? I think this is now cuttable as... not quite. But suppose that I were to place this here. That is now cuttable tar. Alright, so that's good for that one. This one, then I can do that. Yeah, alright, so this is pretty much what I want. Then I just need to place a target back here. I'll just make it a conquer token, maybe. Just populate this part of the room with some of that. Move this over a tile. And place a conquer token on this. There we go. So now the player first has a sample to let them know that the switching token doesn't change what kind the barrels are, and then you get a puzzle more or less using that. I think we could probably make a more sophisticated puzzle that requires better understanding of this fact, but I'm happy enough with this for the moment, since this is supposed to just be a tutorial anyway. Alright, so that's a good start. I could come up with some more puzzles for sure. Maybe have this room branch off, or have these branches continue differently. Something like that would work. I'll go ahead and make demos for this. Alright, simple enough. And we've got demos. Alright, so I'm not sure what I would like to work on next. I'm just gonna stare at this for a minute. Alright. Where is the one that I worked on the first architecture stream? I think it was called Green Time. Here we are. Yeah, I'm not sure I want the entrance to be there necessarily. What did this look like? Oh. There we go. I guess I didn't finish this one. Yeah, I remember. I wanted this to be something to do with... Yeah, I'm still not too sure about this one. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it alone for now. Oh, let's just put up a new room, I think, for a moment. In absence of anybody watching, I'm just going to poke at the idea generator for a bit. Let's say that I wanted the theme to be seating beacon. Since I have a couple of rooms about seating beacons as it is. Alright, this says use Ormite's Mudbaby and seating beacon, tar stuff switching puzzle. Make this interaction the main focus of the room. Seating beacon is killed, destroyed if it falls into pit. Use this interaction against the player. Gel cannot grow onto seating beacon. So what you're telling me is I should put gel, and since it's supposed to grow, it needs a mother. And then put some pit. I'm not sure this will work with pit, but okay. And then I guess a bridge. just doesn't really feel like it's very much in the spirit of, yeah. I'd like to remind myself of something. I'm pretty sure that it will become water and not shallow water if I were to do this. Yeah. I think just in general, if you put bridge on shallows, it becomes water. Yeah. Hmm. I'm going to use water instead of pit here. So right now, that's not really exactly what I want, but I could go with something like this. I needed something for the gel to be growing toward, of course. I'd like to double check something. Yeah, that greenifies the room. Generally speaking, I seem to recall that okay, that's kind of interesting. No, never mind. I was remembering things wrong. Yeah, okay. Anything that kills or destroys a seeding beacon deactivates it. Suppose I set things up in such a way that the player needs to somehow the player needs to grow gel around this seeding beacon in order to make room for them to destroy it. I'm not sure. I really kind of wish there was a gate that became water when you opened it. That would be really cool and helpful. Well, I guess I can always make do with some force arrows. I kind of want a wide open space around here. The vague idea that I've had in my head for a few minutes at least is that when the player walks into this room, he has to disarm. So I think I should be able to achieve that with something like this. So the player only has one way in or out of the room, and if he doesn't disarm, then he will be stuck in the room forever. It would also be very helpful if you could actually get onto the platform here. There we go. So now, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, the player does need a way to deal with these babies. So, since my idea generator says to use this interaction, I'm going to place a couple of these with some shallow water over here. So if the player wants to get rid of babies, what they can do is come and do that. That said, it would be really helpful if I could give the player some way of being allowed to continue to move the platform around after gel has grown onto it. I'm not sure how to do that, though. Suppose that I want the player to grow gel to a specific place, but not grow to a specific other place. That might be of interest. So something... So your goal is to open that up so that you can drop this into the water. As an added bonus, I'll place some mud. Which, if it ever grows, will close that. Something like this, maybe? I might need to be more generous with the room up here. Especially that shallow water isn't going to cut it, is it? So no babies, no gel or mud babies with this can push this button, and neither can the gel itself. Oh, hey there. I'm just messing with a thing. The idea generator gave me a list of ideas and I'm trying to apply them. I haven't added Ormites, but I guess theoretically you could say disarming the player is kind of like Ormites. Oh, my orders from the idea generator said use Ormites, use Mud Baby, use Seeding Beacon, include this concept tar stuff switching puzzle, make this interaction the main focus. Seeding Beacon is killed if it falls into Pit. I substituted Pit for Water because I think that looks better here. And use this interaction against the player. Gel cannot grow onto Seeding Beacon. So I'm sort of using these ideas. I'm also ignoring the one that says, it says use non-be-through player role. I'm also ignoring that. My signal's dying. Okay, I had my signal strength go way down for a second there, but it seems to be fine now. I don't want that fuse there, that's inconvenient. I'm going to give the player the ability to blow up the gel or tar stuff a couple of times. The player also has access to these switcher tokens to get rid of babies. I'm not sure that I have the best possible geometry for this, but the basic idea I'm working with here is that I want the player to use babies in cleverly placed positions to actually to help the gel and mud grow. Come to think of it, I should probably do something to ensure that it's actually mud and gel, that it's actually gel in these places and not babies. So since the player has to stand on this button to finish the room, what I can do is apply some fire traps to places. Actually, hang on. This is a bad one, so that's fine. So the left ones are bad, which means that if the player gets something stuck on them, they don't actually want that there anyway. The right ones, if there are babies hanging out on these, and the player's standing here, they're gonna walk off unless they don't have room to. So all I need to do is place some fire traps bordering these, and have this toggle them. So that unless there is actually gel on these tiles, that won't count. So that should work. I also think it would be helpful to push this construction south a tile, so that the player can actually grow things up in this direction. And another thing I can do is maybe add in another bomb. The bombs are going to be placed infuriatingly so that they don't quite destroy the seeding beacon, or affect the seeding beacon. I'll just place a force arrow here and here, so that the bombs don't blow up the gel mother, even though it would be kind of meaningless if they did. Alright. So I have no idea how well this will work, I will just need to test it some. But the basic idea should be solid enough. I don't know that it's really necessary that the player isn't allowed to make it mud. I think Maybe this construction over here I don't really need, but it does add to the symmetry of the room a bit. I don't know. So the entryway, you don't want to drop that trapdoor, you don't want to do this just yet. Hilariously, that does blow up these bombs, but that shouldn't be meaningful either. Anyway, so yeah. The idea is to grow the gel to the right places. If this explodes, and there's things on this platform, it should clear it right off. Yeah, okay. So the player just wants to put things in the corners, and this will be their first corner. Here I'm gonna have to clean up the babies a little bit. You have the option of killing the babies like that. Oh, the fuse is in the way, though. I gotta deal with that. I don't want the fuse to be in the player's way of growing the tar. I kind of forgot that interaction. Okay, that should be less annoying. This one, maybe I can migrate the fuse to go that way, or... what would be the least annoying placement of this fuse? For the bomb to be right here. I guess it would be something like this. Just attach it over there. That should be fine, right? Gel won't grow over this shallow water anyway, so... And I don't think this one's in the way of anything, but I can adjust its placement a little bit too. There we go. I kind of forgot that tar stuff won't grow on fuses. Anyway. Alright, so now we can move this platform up here. Accidentally walked the room. Alright, so now I need to get rid of those two. Don't light the fuse too soon. There we go. So now I need to be a little careful because I don't want the gel to grow westward. So I have to make sure it doesn't if I can. And there's babies around to help me with that. Oh, this might be a little too easy, honestly. Well, there's that slight issue there. That's kind of hilarious. So is there a way to survive lighting this fuse? Maybe if I... hold on. So after I did that, I can run over here. I can't quite get over there in time, but what I can do is... oh, okay, yeah. Right, I need to extend where the shallow water is a little bit. I'd like the player to be able to stand in a couple of places to not spawn anything. So, like, here's a good place, I think. No? Another tile over. So here's where the player can stand in shallow to not spawn anything. Way over here. That might be good enough. I'll let that grow a few times. I guess I could go ahead and run around if I wanted, but whatever. So here, actually I can just run way around right away, right? Yeah. So the idea I had was that I could make it grow a little bit neater if I do this. What's the best way to... Okay, yeah, that's an issue. So the idea is you're supposed to be able to just blow that up, but you need to be able to survive blowing that up. If I just move the fuse one more tile north, that'll fix it. Sorry, I did a thing and messed up all my windows again. There we go. I really like this mix. I think this is pretty good. Alright. So we can get rid of these two like that. Ah, but then this happens. That's not really a big deal, but it does happen. And then you can blow up the bomb safely and stand right there. And now we can wait around a turn for it to grow. Oh dear. So this is an interesting wrinkle. We need to kinda yank that out from under it for a second. And then at this point we kinda need to start growing in that direction. Oh wow, I messed up that thing in the east even more? Huh. This was supposed to be the same as what that mother is, so as it stands it's a weird red herring right now. I'm not really too concerned about it at the moment though. I'll worry about fixing the puzzle first. So this is going to be the tricky part, if it's even doable as it is. Which I'm not sure it is right now. Yeah, that bomb is not placed well. Because we need to be able to grow around it somehow. Well, it could be moved a tile to the west. That might work. Let me think. I guess theoretically, not every bomb has to be useful based on, like, there could be an intended order for the player to do things in. Or I could maybe move the bomb here. That might work. Then, if this is here, it should be possible for the stuff to grow across. Whoops. Yeah, I won't have a sword when I'm really doing this. Okay, yeah, that will work. So this is where it's very tricky, because you kind of need to somehow place babies so that they block this from being grown onto. I'm not entirely convinced that's possible as things are right now. On the other hand, you could take advantage of turning it into mud to do this in a different way. You could, you could grow it so that it exists on this side of things. Let it grow one more cycle and then blow it up. Like that. And now that's not growing. Just pretend that I did things properly here. And then you could do something clever with, like, standing here to try and prevent bad things from happening. I'll have to look into this with a proper setup. So let's say the player feels they've already sorted the northeast side. Blah, blah, blah. Alright, you've grown the gel out there. Then we're going to stand right here. Because of where that bomb is, we need to grow... Yeah, we need to grow 2 cycles from here somehow. Well, I don't know. Suppose we instead try to force it to grow eastward. The player will always have access to this fuse, so that's good. Oh, this is awkward. You'd probably want it to be mud at this point. Alright, I'm gonna get rid of this mechanism on the east because I think it's meaningless and I don't like it. I'm not sure if I'll do anything with this door or just get rid of it. Anyway. So, say the player wants it to be mud. Yeah, so first of all, that's going to grow something there at this cycle, which you need to deal with. But then you can stand here to kind of force it to grow in that direction, maybe? Switch it to gel. Hurry to the no spawn spot. The no spawn tile. And then you might be stuck here if you're not careful. Yeah, I'm not sure it's possible for the player to escape this position. Unless you actually run up here before that explodes. Yeah, this part's interesting, I think, but I'm not sure it's exactly what I want necessarily. I'd like to go get on that platform and move it before it can spawn anything onto it. Being disarmed is going to make this room kind of awkward, but I don't know of a way to design this room that doesn't involve that. I guess I could add another switch token over near this western shallows. That might help a bit. Like put one here, say. Yeah, with that you don't really need to move very far to get rid of this guy, I think. Yeah, there we go. Then race all the way around. Alright, so now it should be possible to kill these babies without too much difficulty. Well, yeah. Not too hard to survive that, I think. You just kind of need to be a little careful. And also prevent that from spawning while you're at it. Yeah, so this is overall a bit awkward, but... the player might just need a little more space here to work with, is all. Maybe I'll just push this a little bit farther out. That should help some. Just do something like that. Should help some. And I could maybe move this to where it's a better position as well. I do lots of, in case it's not already patently obvious, I do a lot of test and check with my design of things. I'm not especially good at just knowing exactly how something will turn out without testing it a lot. So something that I could do here... No, that doesn't change anything. Never mind, never mind. I was thinking maybe I could change what shape that grows in by standing in its way a little bit more, but not really. Alright, so there we prevent it from spawning. Then we can get away from this bomb and just in time. Very easily kill those two. These are a little more awkward to kill. That works. Then here I'll wait. Alright, this is kind of what I had in mind. And then, looking at the way that explosive is, I think it would work to do something like this. Yeah, that's just, there's a little too far that you need to grow things to do that like that. But I think my idea was that you could now grow it up onto the platform again. Oh, my... Well, I was typing getting a lot of dropped frames again, but by the time I typed that, it stopped being that way again. Oh, whoops, we want to get rid of that guy. Alright, so I think... I just need to do something with the way this is designed a little bit, I think. Like, the vague idea works, but I think there needs to be a little bit more room where the player is allowed to grow things where this button is. Maybe just moving it to the corner alone would be enough. That gives the player another tile to play with. And it's also more symmetrical with the other side of the room. So that should be helpful a little bit. I just kind of like this slightly hilarious... If you walk into the room, you look and you see that you can basically kill the only monster in the room for free, but the entire room is about making it possible to get rid of that seeding beacon. I need to be careful with this growth. There we go. Right, so this is going to be the same. Oh, it's not time to do that yet. Hang on. Let it grow there. Then run here. Oh, actually... Yeah. After killing this guy, we want to go stand here so that it grows eastward. Then run around to the no-grow spot. Light the fuse and run north. And then start getting rid of these guys. Alright, so now we want to try and make that grow northward. Alright, it's still gel, it doesn't matter. So the idea I had was that we should try to make it possible for babies to spawn in a manner which prevents this from growing onto that button. I'm not completely sure it's possible to do that. Yeah, this is a bit tricky. Maybe it's not time to worry about growing babies yet. We're gonna have this bomb to work with. So instead, focus on blocking things here a little bit. Or can I go ahead and blow that up? That's actually worse. Yeah, I don't know. This needs some very careful tuning that I'm not completely sure I'm that confident to do, but I feel like it can work. The basic idea can, at least. Maybe the player just needs access to a mirror or something? Except that a mirror would be able to break the puzzle if you were slightly clever about it. Maybe I could place the bomb in a different place. Or put another bomb down somewhere. Oops. I pushed the tutorial button. I could put another bomb here and make its fuse not tied with that one. Wait. No, I still want that there. Maybe put this bomb like that. So the player has one opportunity to get it off of there once it's on there. That should be a lot more favorable. A lot less irritating to deal with. That shouldn't... yeah, that doesn't change the way that this part grows at all. Although that bomb does block off the player's path through there a little bit sooner. That shouldn't matter, since in theory you're going to be over here already anyway. So with this, though, I bet you could just do that and then blow it all up. Whoops. So, that might be useful. Maybe? I don't know. Let's suppose that before I blow that up, I pull this south, like that. Oh, you can't actually use this as a bridge until you blow that up. In which case, the player might want to blow this up first, before starting this side, which is kind of interesting. I don't know, let's just see how this looks if I do that. And then just have it grow west. So at this point you kind of have the option of just doing something like this. Which seems a bit lame, honestly. Okay, that doesn't quite kill me. Oh, whoops, I needed to go one more growth cycle before I moved. There we go. Yeah, this seems a little bit lame. I don't know about this. I need some solution between the two, honestly. Because at this point you can do the northeast side without touching, without really making any of the mud grow. That's fine, that doesn't really matter. So at this point we can do that, and then it's just a matter of getting rid of all these babies, which should be fairly easy. Yeah. And at that point you've cleared the room. I don't like this. This is a little too easy. I don't quite like how this goes. So this bomb makes this a little too easy, but not having this bomb makes it kind of impossible. So I need some kind of middle ground solution that doesn't have that problem. One thing I could probably do is shove this another tile south, maybe? Maybe push this entire side of the room a tile southward. And I need to fix what this does to include that again. Alright, so if I do that, grow, 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 grow. I'm going to get rid of this guy. Alright, so now, after it grows there, I'm going to run around here. Blow that up. Just get rid of all that. And I might remove this bomb entirely, or at least change where its fuse is. Maybe get rid of its fuse and instead have it blow up by a trigger. Just put a one-use plate here that'll blow that bomb up. Well, not really one use, but something like that might be better. That way there's no fuse in the way of doing what you want here. Sorry, throat clearing loud. I assume that my voice balance is okay as it stands, since there haven't been any particular complaints about it. Okay. Hey. Yeah, I'm working on a room that's supposed to do something with some ideas the idea generator gave me. Something about growing gel in a way that will allow me to eventually drop a seeding beacon into water. And also switching it between gel and mud. Whoops, I'm supposed to run north here. Also, before this growth cycle, I'm supposed to do this. I'm not sure that's completely necessary, but it might be. And at this point, I want to run north. Get rid of these gel babies. Do like that. And now I want to grow this up onto that platform. Kinda. This song's a little bit loud, but hopefully that's okay. Man, I tried to play Everhood. It was fun for a while, and then it just got way too hard. Like, frustratingly grind your teeth to make my bread hard. I didn't enjoy that as much. Anyway. Everhood covers a lot of musical genres in the course of the game, though. It feels like. I don't know, maybe the problem is this bomb's placement isn't so good. The vague idea I have is that the player should try to sort of bridge things north and across to avoid having the gel mud grow southward here, but I'm just not sure it's working properly. I do want to give the player the opportunity to blow up the stuff back off of this platform whenever they want. I suppose instead of just killing the babies here, I actually try to keep them alive. Or keep some of them alive. Like guide some gel over here. This might be the best idea. Kind of try to place these guys so that even when they're mud babies, they'll get in the way of spawning. That's kind of the idea that I wanted to work with, was something vaguely like that. This doesn't afford you the option to move the platform, though, which is kind of bad. Moving the platform is to some extent really necessary here. I bet if I turn that to mud and pull one guy around here, I can keep him. Then maybe get rid of the others. Or I can get rid of these two and then carry one of those somewhere. Yeah, a slight adjustment to what I did before will allow me to do this. And then I can make him gel to carry him across the water, which will also conveniently prevent that from spawning. And then we can start something going here. If I pull him south at the right time, then he can start to prevent things from growing in an unfavorable way. Yeah, this kind of works, maybe. And I think this bomb will still do its job at the end. Yeah. This is basically the idea I wanted to work with, was something like this. A good, clever combination of using the babies and... oh! The tar is gonna blow itself up? That's actually kinda neat. I'm gonna leave that like that. That's okay with me. And then we can switch it to gel and start trying to get rid of all of these excess babies. I'm not gonna subject you to too much of this song. And now that it's gel, we can keep it gel as we grow across the northeast. Okay, I'm gonna skip to the end of this song. And that was an Amanda Show reference. Anyway. Alright, so now you can finish the room once you have things in this state. Just by having... okay, more or less doing what I did before. There's a small complication with this guy. But what I can do is just pull him south instead. Yeah, that works. And then that guy can be killed the normal way. And there. Now everything is set up, we just need a path back to the entryway. Which I think this will provide, maybe. Yeah, we can just use the... This is overall a bit awkward. Because that doesn't quite form a path as things are now. Maybe... yeah, back here. We can make sure that we're on this side of things. And that's good enough. Now that goes all the way across. The fuse accidentally lights and blows that up, and that's fine. I'm a little tempted to try and give the player a sword when they've essentially solved the room at this point. I don't know. Because otherwise there's just a bit of an annoyance here. Yeah, this is a little bit just unnecessary and a little bit tedious. I could add some more hot time? I could add some more fire traps to make this more convenient, maybe? Maybe just put a couple here. But I think I've essentially got a functional room at this point. Alright, well, that means I should try and produce a demo. Just gonna place some checkpoints around. Oh no, that's an incomplete room. There we go. Alright, so because you want to use mud for the south side, and you need to use, well, and you can use either mud or gel for the north side, it makes sense that you kind of want to do the south side first. That might not be obvious, and I'm not completely sure that it's an absolute requirement. But it certainly makes things a lot easier if you... am I still on... I had a bunch of dropped frames again. Or I had my signal rate go way down again, to be accurate. Alright, all we have to do here is get rid of this guy. And then we want to go push that way, hit this. Oh wait, I was supposed to keep one alive, right? Yeah, so just do that and keep him around. Then move him down to here. Pull him south a tile like that. And then arrange things so that this happens. That's the idea. And then that blows itself up. And I want to switch it back to gel right away. And start getting rid of these guys. Just have to be a little careful that it's not mud. Alright. And then we can start doing this side. You can also sort of a little bit preemptively deal with these guys if you're a little careful about it. Yeah, this way there's only 2 of them to deal with, and that's, well, 2 plus a few that spawn when you do that. So once that spawns, we can make it mud and then start destroying things like that. Might want to get rid of these 2 right away. And that makes things a little easier to deal with here, because you can just grab these up to there, kill them with the fire traps, and then there's only those 2, which should be easy enough to get rid of the usual way. No need for a sword at all, but you do need to remember to actually drop that seeding beacon elf. Guess what video game soundtrack this is evoking? So, looking back at the demo, there's a lot of waiting a cycle for the tar stuff to grow, but whenever you're doing that, unless you're doing something interesting, it's just pushing control weight, which isn't that punishing. So even if the turn count were a little high, I would still consider this fine. But even with all the waiting around for spawn cycles, I think this is still under 1,000 turns. So I'm not really too worried about it. There's a little bit of fiddling at the end to clean out the last few babies, but I think that's fine. I'm not really sure that this uses against the player the fact that the seeding beacon blocks off your tar growth, but I'm not too worried about that. Or gel growth or whatever. I kind of still like this. It's this entire convoluted process you have to do just to get rid of the seeding beacon, because everything else is completely free. When you walk in the room, you can immediately kill the gel mother, but that doesn't matter because the seeding beacon. Alright. Oh, what else? Maybe work on something else. Oh, I forgot about this. I've built some of this. Oh yeah, that's just the test level. I'd like to run through this and take a closer look at this element. I messed with this element a bit. It's the mushroom. And the basic idea of the mushroom is... Yeah, this was before I ever heard of that nonsense. The basic idea of the mushroom is that it's like a reverse flower. So you know the flower in TSS, how it eats things that are orthogonal to it. Well, the fungus, the mushroom, eats things that are diagonal to it. And then it's tired for 5 turns. But if you look very closely, I admit this is not the best conveyance. If you look very closely, this carnivorous mushroom, it starts out with nothing on its stalk, and every time it grows something, it gets a single extra bud on its stalk. And that'll be relevant in this room. So here you can see we need to somehow push this button. But first of all, let's just go ahead and start feeding this fungus all these enemies. Another thing to notice, watch as I open this up. Because it can't move because it can't move against this force arrow, all that the carnivorous mushroom does is eat whatever walked onto it. And when it does so, it doesn't become tired. So, similar to the flower, the mushroom becomes tired when it eats something, but actually it only becomes tired if it has to move. If it doesn't have to move, it doesn't become tired. And now there are 2 buds on it, If I walk over here, it's going to eat, and those buds became a little bigger and gained spots, so now it's eaten 4 things. And then if I have it eat this 5th roach here, now it looks like it's kind of ready to burst, at least that's the idea. And now it's turn 30. I think it's a multiple of 10. It emits spores. So that's a spore. If you walk into a spore, it will kill you. The spores can fly over pits. They spawn in any available orthogonal direction. And once they can't move anymore, they turn into more mushrooms. So that is the life cycle of a mushroom. It tries to eat 5 things, and if it manages to eat 5 things, then on the next turn that's a multiple of 10, it emits spores in orthogonal directions that become more mushrooms. At least that's the idea. I'm not sure that this is, like, very clear to the player. Oh yes, and similar to... So these two, if you look where these mushrooms are, they can't actually move because they're on orthosquares. If I recall correctly... Oh yeah, okay. First of all, this room is about kind of tricky placement. Yeah, okay. The goal in this room is to actually feed each of these guys 5. So that they'll both spawn things. So you have to be very careful with this. I might have to look at my demo for... Oh, I didn't make a demo for this. That's not good. Anyway, as far as I recall, the idea of this room is to make both of these fungi emit spores so that both of these get pressed. And then this will get rid of the brain. I forget what the interaction, if anything, is with brains. I'll have to look into that. There's exactly 10 roaches, so maybe this room is a bit trickier than necessary for kind of a tutorial. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it is every multiple of 10. That's good. Oh, no. Okay, I remember now. I'm pretty sure the idea of this room is that you're not supposed to let them spawn anything. Or you're not supposed to let them spawn enough. I don't know. I'll have to examine this a little bit closer. Alright, I don't remember the point of this room necessarily exactly. I'll have to keep looking. So this room... Oh yeah, okay. If I remember correctly... I think brains might do the same thing for fungi that they do for plants, which is that they just make it where they don't get tired. This room should be simple enough to figure out. This room is just about bringing a... Yeah. This room is about getting a mimic across a field of these guys. I have lights set up to show the player where it's not safe to put the mimic. We're supposed to be able to go farther west here. So first we have a disarmed mimic that we need to get over to the arm token. and then we can use him to stab all of these mushrooms. Notice also that this mushroom in the northeast has now eaten 4 things. So he needs to eat a 5th thing to put something on this tile, which will then kill him off. And there is... I think there's not supposed to be any way for the Mimic to kill him. I could be mistaken, though. So if the Mimic kills him... Oh, this is probably a leak. I think my intention was that he's supposed to eat the Mimic, then send a spore up to the north. I'm getting really bad signal. I hope my voice is working. Anyway, that's what's supposed to happen, but I think I have a bit of a leak here. I could fix that by just putting some Ormites around this guy, so that you have to feed him the Mimic. That's the idea, anyway. Let me go east. Okay, that's good. My signal seems to be kind of going in and out a lot. That's why I'm concerned. Okay, here we go. This room, I think, is more what the interaction with brains is. Oh, okay, that's right. I think it's just that they don't care about brains. They're kind of like puffs that way. They don't really respect any regular monsters, they just eat them. So they don't care about brains the way that flowers do. Okay. So in this room, we have these soldiers. We need to somehow reach this mushroom in the center. You'll also notice that unlike flowers, the carnivorous mushrooms don't eat each other. The idea is, I think, was supposed to be that real mushrooms, you can see lots of mushrooms poking out of the ground that are all parts of the same organism. So theoretically, all of these mushrooms are parts of the same organism. So they won't eat each other. That's kind of the concept, at least. Right, so anyway, this room... The idea is that the mushrooms are supposed to eat the soldiers, who are supposed to be coming after these monsters that are placed around. So you get a stick... Let me see if I remember exactly how this should go. So you're supposed to place things in a certain way, and then start releasing soldiers who will be like that, and get the soldiers eaten. The reason being that 4 brains isn't quite enough to reach all of the mushrooms, or 3 brains and a water skipper. This is awkward. I'm just gonna get this guy out of the way for now. Yeah, okay. So the deal is that if you just do this, then there's no way to actually reach the mushroom in the middle. You can get him 1 tile out using the water skipper. I think you have to do that. Push the water skipper in enough to pull him out, but now there's no way to kill him. You would essentially need a 4th brain. But instead of getting a 4th brain, you get these soldiers. So the trick here is to place the brains and the skipper perhaps as well in such a way that the soldiers will attract multiple carnivorous mushrooms. It's been a while since I've looked at this stuff, so I don't necessarily remember how it's supposed to go. And somehow I failed to leave myself any demos. think the trick might be to pull one completely out like that. And do something like this, maybe. It's something to do with making sure the soldiers move in a particular way that's helpful. Let's see if this works, maybe. So that guy's going to step right into where the mushroom goes. That's good. I guess I actually want this configuration, but kind of on the other side of things. There's probably multiple solutions to this room overall, but... yeah, okay, so if I do this, then this guy's going to be a dork, but the other two should be somewhat cooperative. Oh, let's get rid of you. He really wants to go south. Alright. Yeah, and this almost, but not quite, does it. Yeah, I don't remember my exact solution to that one either, I admit. This room is just put the monsters in the right places to guide the mushroom to where you can kill it, basically. I recall this one being not too difficult. This is just look at all the things the mushroom can successfully eat, I think. So here... if I do that, then the mushroom can eat those two. You want to push this button. Maybe this is what I want to do first. That might be it, yeah. Oh yeah, okay. So, pull that there while he's tired, get him onto that button, get him onto that thing. There's some kind of an ordering to this. I think this room was supposed to be really obvious, but somehow I failed at that. Oh, okay, you push that, then you push this. Yeah, okay. The point here is that the mushroom cannot step up onto walls, but if it wants to eat something that's on a door, then it can step up onto the door. That's the point of that. And then here, he can eat the entire snake at once, just like a flower can. He can eat those too. And if you bring him up to a tar mother, or any kind of tar stuff mother, he can walk up onto the tar stuff as well. And he dies if you drop him into a pit, of course. Oh yeah, that's right. Another thing about mushrooms is that they can live on full-on water. Whereas my understanding with flowers is that they're supposed to... they definitely sink in regular water, and it's up for debate whether they sink in shallow water or not. I've made several puzzles involving them living on shallow water, which I think makes sense. But that might vary from one hold to another, since TSS itself doesn't actually establish their relationship to shallow water, as far as I can recall. Did I really not make any... Let me see. I guess I never made demos for this for some reason. I'm not sure how I failed to make demos. Oh, I remember. Okay. The idea of this room is that you want to make sure that at least you want to make sure to unbalance the way that these mushrooms are fed so that you can kill one of them before it can lay any spores. So that guy's about to spore, we don't want that to happen. We want to overfeed him because he can only sort of store one spore emission at a time. So once you've fed them 5 and they're already stuffed, they'll keep eating, but they won't, like, that won't count toward another spawn. But the point here is just that you can balance the feeding of these two so that neither one spawns any spores. Yeah. And this room is just a bit of a weird horde room, as I recall. Our goal is actually to try and make some spores happen. Yeah. So you have these buttons here. It's possible to press one of them with a roach, I think, but one of them needs to be pressed down with a it's necessary to make a spore create a mushroom onto one of them. So as you can see, your sword counts as something that blocks the spore from moving and allows a mushroom to spawn. And then you can do this. And then there's something of a trick here, because we're having a problem with the roaches getting in the way of the spores. What you want to do is kind of allow the spores to grow, to go past where those roaches are being, in order to kill the east and west queens. But you have to do it in a certain way because you don't want any actual mushrooms to spawn in this section of the room, because if you do, you can't kill them. So you need to do something that, yeah, you just need to close this door so that the roaches behave themselves a bit. This requires a bit of careful movement to ensure that this button is held down when the spores are supposed to be going across, but also not die to the roaches. I think this is the right idea. Yeah. But need to give him time to skate across there. And now those two queens are dead. And at this point, you need to hurry to kill those. Hurry to kill the north mushroom at this point. This is a bit tough. The real problem is that I have a mushroom. Yeah, I just need to get north quickly enough to prevent that from spawning, but also... That works. That doesn't quite work, hang on. That roach is ruining things. This is a very strange and tricky horde room overall, I guess. I recall having a reasonably good setup for it. Okay, that's good. Except that now... I don't recall this being this hard, but the basic idea is there. Alright, that's it. It just requires some concentration, I suppose. And with that, you can leave. Alright. I'm convinced these rooms aren't that bad, I just needed a while to think about them. The same is probably true for these others. And this is supposed to be the tutorial level. I admit it's a bit tough. I made some more difficult rooms up here. Or anyway, this was meant to be the tough one. The tougher rooms. Does this count as architecture still? I'm just sort of examining this because I thought, oh, it'd be nice to build some more rooms around these. So looking at this room, there's 5 things plus this. So there's kind of 6 things that you could feed this mushroom. And I think the goal might be... Well, clearly you need to do this. I'm not sure what the vision token is for. Why did I put a vision token in this room? I don't know. Anyway. I'm reasonably sure that I'm supposed to be taking this guy somewhere specific. Oh, I think I know what it is. We need to somehow get here. Oh, I know what it is. Okay, I'm sorry. Duh, there's an adder in this room. This room is about feeding the adder by having this mushroom eat 5 other things. So, you feed the mushroom so that it creates enough things for the adder to eat. Because the adder can't eat any of the monsters in the room right now, but you kind of need it to. You need it to eat enough things, at least. So you're trying to both feed this thing snakes and also bring it in range to eat that Gentry Eye. And now it can emit spores, and you can feed the adder the resulting mushrooms. But you have to be a little bit careful that the adder doesn't get himself killed. It's actually a lot easier to not kill your adder here than it would be with a flower, since a flower would, of course, be very prone to standing right in the path of its eating habits. This is a bit tough to manipulate, but I think anyone else would be better at this than me, so it's probably fine. There we go. And then the adder is long enough to push him into that, and he'll kill himself like that. Yeah. So it's a simple adder feeding room, except you need to feed the mushroom so you can feed the adder. And then over here we have this Roach Queen. Pretty sure the idea in this room is that you want to use... Yeah, this Gentry Eye is meaningless. There's a lot of meaningless junk just placed in these rooms, because why not? But the idea with this room is to get to use the queen spawns to pull this guy down. You want him to spawn exactly so that one of the spores goes and kills this goblin. So the trick here is, among other things, to not kill the queen, or get the queen killed. I think that the mirrors are involved somehow in the solution as well. I could be mistaken, though. Yeah, you need to do something with the mirrors, is my vague recollection of how this room works. You need to somehow use the mirrors to do something useful here. But I don't remember precisely what. I think this is the right way for this room to start. But if you have things like this, then that's kind of a problem. Or, I don't know. This works, right? Okay, no, I guess this is less complicated than I thought. You do need one of the mirrors to reach one of the mushrooms at the end. That's about it. Anyway, so these are the puzzles that I've built for this so far. It's kind of a complex and tricky element, and I'm not completely sure how to do the best job of explaining it to the player. Like, I think the underground garden works okay. Let's see. Here's some of my old architecture notes that explain it. Spores largely kill/die on things the same way as puffs, but if a spore sees an obstacle like a wall, golem, corpse, then it lands and grows into a mushroom. It turns out that I just had them grow instantly into mushrooms. It respects force arrows and can't go on walls, but it can go over doors. Spores cannot go on doors. Yeah, here in this prototype room, everything's kind of messed up. The kind of tricky thing is that the mushroom and the spore all have the same graphics pack, basically. I think I like the mushroom graphic, but I'm not really sold on the spore graphic. I think that could be improved quite a bit. The clock keeper just keeps track of the threat clock, which is very important to understand what's going on, since the behavior of mushrooms is very clock-oriented. Much like flowers, they take kind of 5 turns to recharge their batteries. And there's also the multiple of 10, which is a little like a water skipper nest behavior. So I'm a little concerned that this element isn't clear enough, and that maybe these intro puzzles are a little bit too tough. I don't know. The first 2 rooms kind of show you all of the properties, but at the same time it's not immediately obvious what all of those properties are, I think, just glancing at it right away. A lot of these rooms are kind of tricky overall, I saw what I'm saying. But I would like to build more rooms for the moldy basement. I guess here I had some vague idea of doing something with regular puffs and stuff. Let me see if I remember correctly the behavior here. If I'm not mistaken, I think it should eat. Like, it won't... Oh, I need to put in a regular monster. Alright, I'll just... Yeah, that's fine. I'm pretty sure that what it will do is actually eat these guys as well, which I'm fine with. That's a little silly, but I kind of like the idea that this is something that can actually... Like, you know, how adders actually shrink if they eat a puff. I like the idea that maybe mushrooms can process them just fine. Since puff's whole thing is that they're really cold and they choke you out, but fungus doesn't really need it to be warm, and a fungus doesn't need to breathe necessarily, that I know of. So unlike most everything else, they don't die, they don't get hurt by eating puffs. I guess flowers are also like that as well. So there should probably be some kind of room about that interaction, but I'm not sure exactly what to do with it. Well, I think what I should do... I'm coming near the end of having streamed for 2 hours after being about an hour late starting. I think I should go ahead and do some demo production for this hold, just so that I have some demos to work with. Because I am fairly happy with how this... I am fairly happy with this, even though maybe I might want the difficulty toned down a little bit. It's possible my other computer actually has demos for this already, but just in case, I'm going to go ahead and place some demos while I remember kind of how to do it. Well, I meant the kind of draw demos, but yeah, I prefer to have demos for my rooms so that I know how to solve them later, because as you can see, I kind of tend to forget and then have a hard time figuring them out again. Demo in the Doom and Deadly Rooms of Death sense. Which is ironically the opposite of a demo where you die, I guess. Whoops. I did not mean to completely reset the room, although that shouldn't be too big of a deal. How did I go about this before? I think the idea is just to get rid of some of these quickly. There we go. Then I can kill that. Run up here. Perfect. Whoops. Gotta be careful about that. This room needs a leak fix. I should probably double check that I don't have a newer version of this somewhere before I do anything. Tell me, is this new? This is an earlier version. Okay. Now I'm not sure. Did I make any edits to this? I'm pretty sure that I haven't edited this in quite a while, but just in case, I'm gonna make a backup. And copy the file that I already have. Alright. So there's a leak fix that I need to make to this room, which is just to place some Ormite so the Mimic can't just stab this guy. I think that'll work just fine. That doesn't mess up the lighting gimmick too much or anything. I need to be a little farther west. So now you don't have the option of using this Mimic to kill him, I don't think. Yeah, you don't. Because the only place you could put the Mimic to kill him, theoretically, is to the northeast. But even if you do that, you can't have him facing the correct direction to kill it if he's standing there. So I still don't necessarily remember how to... Oh wow. I'm getting a lot of frame drops. I don't necessarily remember how to solve the rooms north and south of here. Oh yeah, you can also be clever here. Instead of moving the mushroom, you can just move the eye. I mean, you still have to push the mushroom off of the tar stuff, but whatever. This room, I don't recall being that hard necessarily. There's just a lot of fussing with the Gentry Eye, because there's a Gentry Eye, and that means there's going to be fussing with it. Right, so we're going to have to move it next to here, and then you can kind of start to push it that way. I think that at this point I want to use the Gentry Eye to pull it onto land, since I can only have it eat a Gentry Eye if it eats it onto land. Yeah, and then it eats the Wraith when it kills itself. So this room isn't so bad. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, that's the trick. This room you need to keep the Gentry Eye alive. So you need to do some kind of very careful trickery to not use up as much as it looks like you have. And that's basically it. You just need to quickly push it after it eats that. And then you can get it where it needs to go without actually eating up the Gentry Eye. So then you can use him to hold down the button over there past the green door. With only a little bit of fiddling around with Gentry Eye and the stick. There we go. Or not. That's annoying. Yeah, this part's a little unpleasant. I'm not sure about it. I think it's probably that there's an easier way to do this. I seem to recall spending a while trying to make sure that there were no major leaks in this room. The end result seems to be that the Gentry Eye is a bit of a pain to get into his box. There we go. Maybe not. This is not intended to be the hard part, as far as I remember. Maybe I'll just make a small tweak to this room to make this less painful. And I don't want to change the part that's... Yeah, I think if I just widen that so that it has a single tile of button on the west side, like so, that should fix it. Because fiddling with this Gentry Eye is just not supposed to be the hard part of the puzzle. There we go. Alright, so this one. I have a vague memory in my head of how I think this is supposed to work, but I'm not completely sure of it. I don't think that's it. I think that I'm not supposed to kill any of the brains to start with. I think the solution might look something a little like this, maybe? So that guy will kill himself. This guy will kill himself like that. Now what I need to do Yeah, there's definitely a trick to this. I think the trick is just as simple as pulling one guy off with a brain, and then using just 2 brains to do the rest. That might be all there is to it. Get rid of that guy. Maybe something like this. So first pull this guy out and get rid of that. And then this guy should hit... Yeah, okay, that's all there is to it. This is not that complicated. There we go. It just seemed complicated is all. Okay. I haven't written any descriptions or anything yet, of course. Alright, so as I recall, we want to kind of push this queen that way. Need to be a little careful about it, though. I think the right idea is to kind of... No, I think I do want to shatter this. Push her east. And then carefully skate her south past that. Get her on the ice like that. I seem to recall needing to use the mirrors a lot more in my initial testing of this room, but I think if you just put the queen on the ice, then it's not that hard to get everything to line up properly. Oh. When I kill the queen, I need to actually break the ice as well. Oops. And carefully guide that there. Then you can get rid of everything. Oh, wait a minute. Oh yeah, we actually wanted to step back to the north, back to the east again. And then I can block one of the spores from spawning like that. There we go. Not too bad. I still don't really know why there's an eye here, why there's a vision token here. I feel like there was initially something that required that, but I don't think there is anymore. I could maybe get rid of that. Alright, now it'll eat the Gentry Eye. The 1-tile adder is the toughest to control. 2-tile, I mean. There we go. Got another one. Alright, that's fine. As long as he eats them. Alright. And there we go. Now we have demos. This too I consider part of architecture. So I have kind of a solid element. Okay. See, I didn't really notice that, but I should quit now myself anyways. Not there, here. Alright, I'll fuss with version control in a bit. Anyway, I'm gonna say that's enough for today. I've been at this about 2.5 hours, which is fairly typical. I accidentally closed Deadly Runes of Death. Thank you for watching. If you did watch, have a good rest of the weekend. And I'll be back later. I'll be back. Oh yeah, so next week I have a thing going on next Saturday, so I'm just going to do a backup stream on Sunday, I think. Anyway. But farewell for now. I'm just going to let the rest of this song play.